live stream 30 day. Okay, so let's look at this. It's a simple 1-6-2-5, right? Which is one of the most commonly used chord sequences in history, right? It's just, let me just switch off the delay. Okay, dead simple. C, A, 7 flat 9. I'll explain why I've done that in a minute, because you're probably thinking, should that not be an A minor because we're in the key of C? D minor 7, which is the 2 chord, and G7, which is the 5 chord. Now, it's worth noting that this little bad boy here is a really common chord substitution for the normal, what would usually be used is the A minor 7. But in relation to the 1-6-2-5, like a turnaround on the end of a tune, you know, so many people use just an A7 flat 9 or A7 altered on the end, or just alter the 6 chord basically. So normally it would sound like this: C major to A minor, to D minor, the 2, and then to G7, the 5. But the common alteration, C major 7 to the A7 flat 9, and then to the D minor, to the G7. Okay, so it's a really, really common substitution. So don't freak out when you see this on chord charts. It's still in the key of C major, okay? It's not throwing you out to a different key. Just because it's a 5 chord here doesn't mean it's in the key of D for that one bar, okay? It's still all within the key of C. So to solo over this, to get started, right, you're just going to be using chord tones, because it's just the easiest way to make sure that you're outlining the changes. And before you even worry about using melodic minor substitutions, you need to be able to do like a decent chord tone style solo around this sequence, okay? Otherwise, you're putting the cart before the horse. When you're using melodic minor substitutions, you're still going to be targeting the juicy notes within these chords. You're still going to be targeting the thirds within these chords, or the flat nut, you know, you're still going to be targeting all that. So if you just jump straight into using melodic minor substitutions on this, you're not going to be able to find those juicy notes. So first of all, make sure that you can play a simple chord tone style solo around this sequence, right? I'll just put a quick loop together and I'll show you exactly what it sounds like. That's the C major to the A7 flat 9 to the D minor 7 chord 2 to the G7. Dead simple. Okay, so super simple, and all I'm doing there, guys, is just using predominantly chord tones. For the C major, okay? Root, third, 5, 7, and sometimes the 9 on the top, okay? Okay? On the A7, again, chord tones. And obviously you should know these all over the neck, right? Not just in one position. But if you're just starting out, it's cool just to focus on one position. I'd really focus in this soloistic environment, probably around here above the 12th fret, because it's going to give you, you're going to be able to hear the quality of the note against the chord. Okay, you're going to be able to hear the quality of the tone. And what I'm doing here is I'm outlining the changes. If you've ever heard of that phrase, oh, they're outlining the changes, it means that you can hear the chords as they go by. Because ultimately, all of these notes are in the C major scale, right? Ultimately, all of the notes are in the C major scale. But if you just play up and down C major, it's just going to sound like you're playing up and down C major. In certain scenarios, it's okay to do that. But you should have the option, okay? It's not sort of like one size fits all, right? C major, just all over it. It works, but you're not getting the... You're not getting that, you're not outlining the changes. So what we want to be doing is make sure we can outline the changes before we start looking into the melodic minor substitutions. And to do that, make sure that you know your arpeggios up and down the fingerboard, upside down, back to front, left and right, because otherwise when you get into the melodic minor substitutions, things are going to get a bit hairy and you'll probably get put off, which I don't want you to do. I want you to get this stuff that I'm giving you today and actually use it as actionable exercises so you can, get stuck in and get using this, and you don't get stuck in a rut like I did trying to figure out how to use melodic minors for way too long. So once you can do that, right, once you can outline the changes, and it can be slow, I'm just using a little loop pattern here. I would almost recommend doing it slow so you give your ears the chance to absorb the sound, okay? I'm going to say that again. You need to give your ears the chance to absorb the sound so they recognize what's going on. Now, once you get to grips with that, and you can do that, the first melodic minor substitution that you should look at is over the G7. That's the, what I wouldn't do is just go straight in and just start, putting these melodic minor substitutions on everything, because it's going to get crazy complicated and you're not going to be hitting those juicy notes. So it's really important that you start hitting those juicy notes, all right? So first of all, let's look at the melodic minor scale itself, but just going back to what I was talking about earlier, let's talk about the minor major 7 arpeggio, which is what the melodic minor works in conjunction with, right? So let's do it in A flat, because that's what we're going to use on this G7 chord here, okay? To get the altered sound, we're going to use an A flat melodic minor. But let's not think about that yet. Let's just figure out what the heck an A flat melodic minor looks like. So the arpeggio itself is that. Okay, so it's A flat. Actually, I'll tell you actually the degrees of what I'm playing, because that'll make more sense. It's the root, it's the A flat is the root. Then we've got the minor third, which is the B, okay? We've got the E flat, so it's almost like a minor arpeggio up until this point, right? Root, minor third, 5, natural 5. But then we've got this juicy note, which is the major 7, but on a minor chord, right? So normally an A flat minor sounds like this. A minor major 7 chord sounds like this. Now, if you play that at home, it might sound weird, and that's because the sound isn't absorbed yet in your ear, but just that's the sound, right? So a minor major 7 arpeggio. Root, minor 3rd, natural 5, major 7, which in this case is the G, and then a really great one to put on top is the 9th. Okay, in this case, it's the B flat. And obviously you've got the root there as well. The root there, but the minor 3rd there, so. So all I'm doing there is I'm just using the minor major 7 arpeggio and a 3rd again. Now just using those notes, right, that's some really fantastic melodies, okay? So play the arpeggio up and down, and then once you kind of get a vibe for the sound, experiment with making melodies, and this is where you're going to be building your vocabulary, because you're not going to be able to just launch into using these melodic minors if you don't have any melodic minor vocabulary. So figure out some really simple based around this pattern. So it could be sounds great on that chord. Another one that I really like to use is this one. If you listen to me playing, you'll hear it all the time. Okay, so it starts on the minor 3rd of the arpeggio. So minor 3rd, natural 5, 9, root, major 7, natural 5, minor 3rd, natural 9, 4th, throwing it in for a bit of spice, minor 3rd, natural 5, 9, root. Okay? Just sounds absolutely beautiful. Now, once you've got some of this happening, so you've practiced the arpeggio, okay, and then you've learned some like melodies using the actual arpeggio, then you can start to apply it to this G7 here. And we're going to use that exact same melody, that phrase there. We're going to use it over the backing track so I can show you like how it works in practice. And the cool thing is we're going to play the A flat melodic minor. That's what you use over a G7 altered chord. You can use the A flat melodic minor, okay? So it's actually an altered scale, super Locrian, and has all the notes of a G7 in, but essentially it is, in my mind, it's just an A flat melodic minor, right? I don't like to complicate things too much. So we've got the melody. Now, right now, we haven't even really looked at or thought about the melodic minor scale. We're really looking at the minor major 7 arpeggio. Now, we're going to add some notes to it in a minute to make it into a melodic minor scale, but you've got the main gist of actually what you need just here. Okay, so let's play around the loop, and every time it hits that G7, I'm going to play that melody, okay? I'm going to play that melody, that phrase, and it's an A flat melodic minor scale, right? The A7, D minor. Here we go. Wait a minute. Yeah, there you go. I played a completely different phrase. A7. Here we go. G7. And again. D minor. A flat melodic minor. The C major. To the A7. B flat melodic minor, same phrase. A7, D minor. A flat melodic minor. Let me just put this on so you can hear it a little bit better. D minor. A flat melodic minor. C major. B flat melodic minor, same phrase. B flat melodic. Same phrase. So just before we go any further, does everybody hear what I'm doing there? I'm using the exact same phrase every time on that G7, okay? Now, you may be wondering, why am I using the exact same phrase every time on the G7, okay? It's to get the sound in my ears. I'm really trying to learn the sound. These sounds for me weren't something that I just discovered and I was like, whoa, yeah, I'm super cool and I can just apply all this stuff. It wasn't like that at all. That a bit Elvis, wasn't it? It was something I had to learn the sound, and my ears had to get used to it, and then I had to get used to applying it. And what really helped me is, instead of just knowing the scale and trying to force it in there any which way but loose, I learned the arpeggio that was based on the scale. So that was number one. Two, I learned some particular phrases using that arpeggio that was based on the scale. And then I played those damn phrases over and over and over and over and over again in context, right? It's got to be in context. Otherwise, it's just a random scale. It's got to be in context. You've got to hear what you're playing, your substitution. You've got to hear what you're playing it over. Otherwise, it's just, randomness. Okay, and then I played those phrases so my ears could learn the sound, and then after that you're up and running. So what I did there is I used that first phrase, okay, just to make it more obvious. And then I also used it on the A7 flat 9, which is B flat melodic minor, same phrase. Okay, on the A7. Now the cool thing is, you can take a phrase such as, let's do it on the G7. You can take that phrase and you can play the exact same phrase but alter the timing of it. So instead of, it could be, or I'm just mixing it up, and you should do that, practice doing it over the chord sequence. B flat, and onwards, right? Is that making sense, everybody? I know it's making probably musical sense in terms of listening to it. That's cool. What I want you guys to let me know in the comments is it making sense how I'm delivering the message of what you need to do first in terms of learning the arpeggio, then learning melodies with the arpeggio, then getting those melodies and using them over and over and over again over the same chords to get used to the sound. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? I'm just going to check out the messages here. This works. Cheers, Ronnie. Hey, Dan. Everybody's giving me thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs up, or leave a comment, say yeah. And if you've got any questions or anything like that about what we're specifically doing right now, let me know in the comments. So we've so far, makes sense. Yup, everybody's giving me the yups. Yes, it is. Crystal clear. Cheers, Mika. Awesome. And I know this sounds like simple stuff in terms of it just seems simple, doesn't it? Hey, learn the arpeggio and learn a few melodies and then use it over these chords. But the actual, for me to discover this, man, I tried to play the melodic minor so much before I actually figured out this. And the melodic minor was this process, once I'd learned it, I applied it to everything else. So when somebody was like, oh, there's this cool scale you can use on this chord, I was like, oh, well, I've got this cool process that I know and I can use it and I know that my ear is going to learn the sound. Okay, so this just doesn't apply to melodic minor. You can use this if somebody's like, oh yeah, on a major chord you can play a Lydian, right? If that's not settling in your ear, if you're not hearing it, if you play a Lydian, that note over a major chord, if that's not really, getting in your ears, then learn the arpeggio. Okay, then learn some simple melodies with it. There's one for you. Anybody into The Simpsons? I love The Simpsons. Learn that melody and then use it all the time, right? Over the specific chord substitution that you're trying to create, so it gives your ear the chance to do this. Okay, so what we've done so far is we took that particular phrase, we use it on the A flat melodic minor, on the G7, and then I was a bit sneaky and rushed forward and started to use it on the B flat melodic minor. Okay. B flat melodic minor. Well, do you think we could use it on the D minor as well? I bet you we can. Let's give it a go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the same phrase on the A7, the D minor and the G7, but we're going to use B flat melodic minor, D melodic minor and A flat melodic minor. And here it's just giving us the sound of the substitution, right? So it's worth noting that on the D melodic minor, the D minor 7, you may be thinking, whoa, well, it gives you a wrong note. It does, gives you a wrong note. It's got the D melodic minor, it's got that note in it. We're playing this chord and this note in it, but over this chord. But it works because it's tension and release. It's why chromaticism works, because it's tension and then it releases, right? Now, if you think back about what I was talking about earlier, about how you need to be able to solo with the chord tones first so you understand where the juicy notes of the chord are, that's because you want to be resolving onto juicy notes within the chord. You don't want to be resolving onto the major 7 when somebody's playing this chord. Just sounds terrible, right? A7. Okay, B flat melodic minor. Here we go. D melodic minor. A flat melodic minor. B flat. D minor. A flat. B flat melodic minor. Okay, so all I did there is again, all I did there, I shoehorned it in, was I used the B flat melodic minor, and then I used the D melodic minor, and then I used the A flat melodic minor. Just to get used to the sound over those, you know. What I'd really suggest as well, just to another thing to try out, is just doing it over a static chord. So if you were just on like a D minor vamp, hear the same phrase, that's the same phrase. I'm just shoehorning it in, I'm just getting used to the sound on that D minor, just on the D minor. Okay, same thing, right? You could use it on the G7. Okay, so again, you could use it on the A7, you know, it's just different. You can play it slow, you can play it fast. Just as many different ways as you could use these melodies that you're using, because then you're building your vocabulary and you're learning how to use it in context, right? So we did it on the, well, where have we done it? We've done it on the A7, we've done it on the D minor 7, we did it on the G7, and again, the real fruity one, the one that's probably the one that you should look at last really, is using it on a C major 7, right? Because it gives you some really juicy notes. So there's the C major 7 sound. Okay, and the chord sounds like. Okay, so it's just C major, right? But you can use A flat melodic minor over that C major. And what that gives you, okay, is a sharp 11, this sound, and a sharp 5, which is this sound. That sharp 5 is always surprising. And what I'd recommend doing with this, just to get used to it, again, you can use the same vibe, right? You could just use a, and you could just solo over C major. Here's that phrase. Here's the phrase. Did you hear it? Again? Here we go. Okay, I got a bit carried away then. I'll try it again. Okay, so you know, and it works really well. It's how you get out of it, so you can. Okay, there you. I'm using that sharp 4. Sharp 5 there. Okay. Again, C major. That phrase. Back into C major. Yeah, I can use it down here. Super C major, right? I used that again, that melodic minor there. You probably didn't even hear it. Okay. Ah. Okay, so, and if you just want to hear that a bit more, I can use the POG, just to give you a bit more. We've got the C major. All C major. C major. Let's do the phrase. C major. Phrase again. C major. So you're just slipping in and out of it. And it's a really good practice tool just to kind of do it rubato like that. Okay. Now, so we've kind of used it over this. We'll get into using that. I'll just do it for you, just so you've got some vibe for it. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna use the A melodic minor. I shouldn't do these late on a day. A melodic minor. Here we go. C major. Did you hear it? On the G. Are you getting some mad feedback there? I think that's me, D-Mac. Sorry guys, I was getting some crazy, I'm getting something from somewhere, some crackling. Anyway, I was using that over the C major. Now, once you've got, like, notice as well that we're using melodic minor substitutions here, but I still really haven't talked about the melodic minor scale. All I've done up until now is talk about the arpeggio that's based on the scale. And we've been learning that, we've been learning melodies associated with that arpeggio, and then using that over the chords. Now, once you've done that and you feel, you know, relatively at ease with it, then you can start using the the full arpeggio. So let's go back to the A flat melodic minor, right? A flat melodic minor or A flat minor major 7. That was the sound. Now let's just play the A flat melodic minor scale, which is root 9, minor 3rd, natural 4, natural 5, natural 6, major 7, and then root. Okay, if you want to think about it like this, it's like a Dorian scale with a major 7, right? So an A flat Dorian scale would be but we're going to play a major 7, so you've got natural 6 and that major 7. Okay, A flat melodic minor. Now a fun thing to do can just be to whiz up and down the scale on the substitution that you're aiming for. So what we can do now is we'll go C major, A7, D minor 7. When we hit that G7, I'm just going to play up and down the melodic minor scale, A flat melodic minor. The key here is I start on the G. Okay. Okay. I think this looper might be on its way out. It's crackling away. Yeah. Okay, let me just figure this out. Sorry guys, let me just see if I can. Let me go. It might be just that I need to record it again. Okay. It's not working. Okay, the looper died. Okay, so the looper died. So just to prove my point, what I'm going to do, rubato, because we haven't got the looper, is I'll just run up and down that A flat melodic minor scale, starting on the G. So you can hear it in context of this sequence, okay? So let's do it rubato. So C major to the A7. That's the D minor. Piece of cake, right? Just running up and down the scale, and it sounds killer. This is the key. I used to listen to these guitar players and I'd be like, whoa, what is that they're doing? It sounds amazing, that juicy ass scale. Boom, it's that, right? So let's try that again. We're just gonna play A7, C major 7, chord tony, A7 flat 9, chord tony, you know what I mean? I'm just D minor 7 chord tones. Every time I hit that G7, I'm just gonna run up and down the scale, right? 2, 3, 4. Ah! So what I was doing there, hopefully you could see, every time I just got to that G7, up and down. You don't need to do it so fast, you can. Okay, you can just do it at that speed or descending. But what you're trying to get used to here is using that entire scale over the chord as it comes. And then you do the same thing. You can do it over the C major 7, I mean the A7, okay, so. Okay, so it just gets that vibe. You're getting the whole sound over the chord, and it really helped me get that sound that I was really looking for. Really helped me get that sound I was really looking for. I'm really sorry you can't hear this over the actual loop that died. But yeah, hopefully you'll get what I mean. Does this make sense, everybody? Does this make sense? Daniel saying, can you breathe louder in your lapel mic, please? I absolutely can, Daniel. I've got some serious breathing going on. Yeah, Ed, right? So yeah, absolutely. You can use the diminished scale on some chords. And I'll definitely talk about that at a later time. Actually, I'll maybe talk about that when we get to the questions. What time are we on, DMAC? 5-2. Man, I can talk, can't I? Jeepers creepers. Okay, so let's just wrap up what we've been talking about, and then let's get stuck into the the Q&A. We'll just do a Q&A for 10 minutes, right? So first of all, we made sure that we knew the arpeggios, right? First of all, C major arpeggio, A7 to the D minor, to the G7, okay, we knew the arpeggios, right? We were focusing on using chord tones. Right, so we soloed around this sequence using chord tones really slowly to make sure that we knew where the juicy notes were, the roots, the thirds, the fifths, and the sevenths. So if we were resolving a line, we knew where that was, right? Then we looked at what arpeggio is kind of like the fundamental sound of the melodic minor, which is a minor major 7 arpeggio. We learned it on the A flat, and then after that we talked about how you should try and get 2 or 3 key melodies, phrases, and then once you've got those, you rinse the hell out of them over and over and over again over the same chord. So you go around this sequence, every time you hit that G7, use that chord, use that phrase. Every time you hit the 7, use that phrase over and over and over. What we're doing here is we're educating the ear to what that actual substitution sounds like, okay? And then once we got it down on one chord, we started using it on this chord as well, which is the altered 6th chord. Same thing, but we're using it in a different, same phrase, but instead of using it on an A flat melodic minor, we're using it on a B flat melodic minor. Then the same thing on the D melodic minor, and then the same thing on the C melodic, well, on the C as well. So we've got the A melodic minor over the C major 7, which gives you the sharp 4 and the sharp 5. All of these chords, guys, give you, or all of these substitutions give you notes that are not in the chord. Like some of the notes that you're playing will be in the chord, but some won't be in the chord. They will be tension notes, right? And if you're playing these substitutions, the rest of the rhythm section don't need to be playing those same substitutions. If they did, then it wouldn't be playing out. It wouldn't, then it would just be you'd all be playing the same thing. So it was one thing that used to bother a lot of my students is you know, if I'm playing this substitution, does everybody else need to play it? And the answer is no. You play that substitution and it really, and it gives the tension, and then as you release and resolve the line, everybody, you know, the listener feels that tension and then feels the release as well. So it's you don't need to communicate that to the rest of the band. And then after that, we talked about adding in the rest of the notes to create the entire melodic minor scale, and then we used kind of running up and down the scales. Okay, we just ran up and down the scales just to kind of get the sound of the entire scale. Now you can take this stuff and really run with it. You can play them in, you know, on the A7. You don't need to. You can play it. You can play them thirds and sixths and all of the stuff that you do with a normal scale as well. I'm just giving you a lift-off point of how to get started with this stuff and how to get it in your ear. And remember guys, if you're an Academy member, I talk about all of this stuff and more in great detail, especially in terms of how to learn your scales over the entire neck. Like you'll notice that when I'm playing, I'm going up and down the neck. There's really specific exercises I've used to learn that. I learned all my arpeggios from 3 fingers. I learned all my scales from 3 fingers. There's very specific fingering patterns that are going to save you so much, like years of work, by just learning the three fingering positions for all your scales and all your arpeggios. It sounds like a massive amount of work, but it's actually not a massive amount. It's like they're all really interrelated. So once you learn one set, it's quite easy to use them on the others as well. So if you are an Academy member over at Scott's Bass Lessons, go check out the harmonica layering course. It's 11 hours long. There's everything you'll ever need to know about all the scales in there and how to use them. And if you're not an Academy member yet, we do a special 30-day free trial on these live streams, okay? So you can get access to everything, all of the courses, which is like the course I've been telling you about. But for, you know, we've got a gazillion other courses. We're releasing a course next week by Steve Lawson, looking about looping essentials for the bass player. We've also got Evan Marion coming in. We've got Jonathan Maron, who used to play with Maxwell. We've got Rich Brown. We've got Steve Jenkins. We've got Danny Mo Morris. He's already in there. Like, we've got a ton of teachers doing stuff for us. It's all in the memberships. If you do want to take it for a completely free 30-day free trial, just go to scottsbasslessons.com/livestream 30-day, 30-day, right? Live stream 30-day, and you can get yourself hooked up with there completely free. And if for any reason that you don't think it's for you, and I promise you it will be, if you're really serious about getting your bass stuff together, it will be. It'll absolutely blow your mind. We do like live streams like this, but with some of the best bass educators in the world, like guys that teach at Berkeley, guys that have taught for MI in LA. If you get in there for any reason that you don't enjoy the membership and the experience, you can cancel your account with the click of 2 buttons. You don't even need to send me an email, and your account will be cancelled and you won't be billed a cent. So just take it for a test drive and see if it's for you. And if it is for you, absolutely awesome. And if you get in the campus as well, the forum, shoot me a PM and I'll just, love to say hi to you as well. So again, scottsbasslessons.com/30-day. Go check it out. It's awesome. So let's get into a little bit of Q&A. Let's do 10 minutes of Q&A. The first one was from Ed, and he talked about using diminished scales. And you can absolutely use diminished scales, especially on the dominant chords here. That's the sort of like the first port of call. There's really, there's some strong relationships between the diminished sound and the melodic minor sound. If you look at it, just the first, on that G7, right? Well, that's A flat melodic minor, but starting on the G. Well, that's the first part of a diminished scale as well. Okay, so yeah, you can use the diminished scale and it'll give you a great outside. Robin Ford is a great guitar player. who uses that diminished sound really well in terms of blues. It's really cool listening to him. I use like on the dominant chords like half whole. So half whole means half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. So there's a root, half step, whole step, 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 half step, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can use that on the A7, you can use it on the G7 as well, and it's really widely used by a lot of players. And you can use the diminished arpeggio as well. That gives you a really strong sound. So for instance, on that G7, you can play a flat diminished arpeggio. Okay. Okay. Okay, you can use that diminished arpeggio as well. So what you want to think about, the way I think about it is if you've got a G7, for instance, you play a diminished arpeggio from the flat 9, so a semitone up from the root, essentially. So G7, you play A flat diminished arpeggio. If you think about it, it's just chord tones, right? So flat 9, major 3rd, natural 5, flat 7, flat 9, major 3rd, natural 5. So even though you are playing an A flat diminished arpeggio, you're actually just playing the chord tones from the G7 but with a flat 9 in, which is a chord tone in itself. Any more questions? Stick them in the doo-dood. The doo-dood. How do you walk over a static minor chord? Oh, that's a really good one. Matthew. So Matthew. Walking over a static minor chord. This used to I'm going to write this down because it'll help a lot of people out. Now, I've covered it in a lot of detail in the course that we released just before Christmas, which is the, what's it called, DMAC? The Jazz... Beginning Jazz Survival Guide for Bass Players, right? So if you're an Academy member, check out that, the Beginning Jazz Survival Guide for Bass Players. I've gone into this, like all the walking stuff in great detail. If you're not an Academy member, obviously you can sign up over at the site. So let's say you've got a, let's say we've got D minor for 4 bars, right? D minor 7. So there we've got D minor, and this isn't just for walking lines, guys. I'll show you this thing that you can use in grooves as well. So D minor 7, we've got it for 4 bars. It could be 8 bars, but let's just, for instance, it could be for 16 bars or 32 bars. But let's say it's for 4 bars, right? The first thing, it's Daniel, it was Daniel, right? The first thing, Daniel, is to get some static minor walking line vocabulary, okay? And that's what I talk a lot about in the course that we released last year. It seems weird saying last year, so that's like a great walking line. And this I would say comes under the category of an ascending walking line, like vocabulary. So what you want to do is, if anybody says, "Hey, let's play a walking bass line for 16 bars," you've got D minor, you know that you're going to be able to play. You've got it, it's memorized, okay? So the first thing is to get a few different versions of an ascending walking bass line, right? Then, same thing, you want descending lines. That's a great one there. Again. So now you've got one ascending one. Okay, so that was 4 bars, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing a different ascending one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. However many bars that was, maybe 8 bars, right? And then you need, I would say, to be armed with what you need just to get going, right? Because I can remember being in that situation where I was like, I've got 32 bars of D minor to walk around. What the heck do I do? Well, try and get 4 static minor chords ascending lines, and then 4 descending. Practice mixing them up, right? That's going to get you a long way, just to get you going. Now, after that, then you want to start understanding that you don't need to actually just play D minor all the time. You could play this. So imagine if this is the original, right? That's the original. Now you could play that's going to work fine. You get what I'm doing here? So what you've done is you've been working on your vocabulary, you're ascending and you're descending, right? But then you start putting stuff like this into the mix, which is you're adding in chord substitutions. So piano players will do this like all the time. They're not just going to go. They're not going to do that. They're going to. Okay, so they're using this kind of stuff, and you can do that within your walking bass lines, right? So you can do the walking bass line thing, or you can do this kind of thing. So like I'm going to do this slowly, okay? So it'd be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. There's the E minor 7 flat 5 to the A7 to the D minor to the E7 to the A7 flat 9 to the D minor. This is all the second line. Okay, and speed up. Okay, that was just that line. Now you can do the same thing here. Okay, that was that line. You can mix them up. And you can also do this on funk, so instead of just sort of like okay, so what I'm doing there is I'm adding these in, and you'll hear people doing it a lot. It's what piano players do, it's what guitar players do, it's ultimately what we do as well. So that's a really great way of expanding on just a gazillion bars of D minor. You can start adding in these chords, okay? And that's why we need to learn our arpeggios, because we're playing from the D minor, and then we're playing from the E minor 7 flat 5. D minor. Okay, so it gives us all of those different kind of things that you can throw in the mix. Let's just go through. What time are we on, guys?
12 minutes past 4.
Well, I'll do one more. Oh, hang on. In theory, could a bass player sing and play any bass line if they worked hard enough? Hey Tom, yeah, in theory, could a bass player sing and play any bass line if they worked hard enough? Yeah, you know, there's some great, there's a guy I know over in Manchester here in the UK, and he can literally sing, and he's a fantastic singer, great bass player, and he can play the craziest stuff and sing at the same time. Yeah, the gloves do give me superpowers. Hey Joe, Joe's on. Sounds like Pat Metheny. Pat Metheny's a beast, man. Oh. Any more questions, guys? I'm trying to. Oh my God. I think you're dreamy. Ha! Mike thinks I'm dreamy. Mike, well done. SBL is a tax shelter for your practice time. Damn right, Thomas. Anyway, guys, don't look like anybody's got any questions coming through, so I'm going to call it a day. Thanks again for hanging out, dudes. It's been awesome. Again, we'll be back same time. Are we in the UK now? Yeah, we're not going next week, are we? Week after. These guys, we're all going to New York to film some amazing courses for the membership at scottsbasslessons.com that you should be a member of if you're not already. Go get your free trial. scottsbasslessons.com/livestream 30-day to get your free trial. We're going to New York at the end of this month, beginning of next month, and we're going to be recording some courses with some amazing players over there. We've hired a studio out in New York. As I said earlier on in this live stream, we've got Rich Brown, we've got Jonathan Maron, we've got Damien Erskine, we've got Steve Jenkins, we've got Rufus Philpott, we've got Evan Marion, and we've got somebody else I can't remember the name of. God damn it, I always forget somebody. If you're the somebody listening to this, I do apologise. But we're doing some great courses out there, and when we're going to fly back and edit them all up, they'll all be available to Academy members. It's all part of your membership, so it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun year. And on top of that, don't forget that we're releasing a course next Tuesday from the phenomenal Steve Lawson, who has put a course together for you guys focused on how to get going with looping and everything in between. It's it's a really great course. We've actually been watching it today. He didn't use my looping pedal, that broke. But yeah, if you're an Academy member, you're going to absolutely love it. It talks about some really simple exercises actually just to get started with looping and get your timing together, because that's a big thing with looping, just getting your timing together. And then from then, he goes on to talk about like looping melodies and creating textures underneath, how to create pads with loops, which blew my mind, how to use a looper as a practice tool, how to use it as a compositional tool, and everything in between. It's going to rock your world. He's a beast, and he wears a very cool jacket in it as well. It's worth the course for the jacket he wears. Tie-dye, isn't it? Steve's got a tie-dye jacket, rocking the 90s. Anyway, guys, we'll be back next week, next Wednesday, same thing, same time. If you've got any questions, come along, bring them, and we'll be doing something for you guys. So it'd be wicked to see you. Anyway, take it easy, and as always, I'll see you in the shed. Goodbye.
The 2015 Kickstarter challenge.
Hey everybody.
Hey.
Hey everybody.
Hi everybody. Hello all. Hello.